Acknowledge me.
Leveled by Marvin Constant, the redshirt freshman out of Tuscaloosa.
Oh, they go by now. Let him know he don't want to stop. 65 yards as the ball was thrown away from the line of scrimmage. Gerald Dixon.
Hey, you forgot my book. And you proper.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. It's Tuesday night, your favorite night of the week, other than when it's game day. It's time for the Bama Standard. Well, you know what to do. Before we get started, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, live chat. Get ready tonight. We cannot wait to hear from you. We're actually going to give you a chance in between segments to answer a few questions. If you're watching the replay, get down in the comment section below. Show us some love there. We'll be sure to respond to you. As always, we are brought to you by Workspace Solutions. If your business needs a digital presence, full-fledged marketing team, SEO, copyright, or any other business need, this is the team you need coaching up your business. Visit them today at workspacepros.com. After the show, of course, and then another sponsor. I want to give a shout out to Olivia Arnold and the Paul W. Bryant Museum for hosting us this past Friday night to get prepared for Alabama versus USF. We are very grateful for everything you did for us. It was a great weekend. All right, I'm your host, Justin Riley. With me, as always, is the undefeated, undisputed king of comedy. He's everybody's cousin and ultimately the star of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Brown.
What's up, guys, man? First off, man, I'm happy to be here with y'all, and I really enjoyed hanging out with y'all and the fans that came through this past weekend. It was a really great time, and hey, let's keep the momentum going, man, with the fanfares picking up, the supporters picking up for the channel. And personally, I want to thank you on behalf of the guys. So, hey, let's go. Roll Tide.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Just below him, 1999, all SEC linebacker. And when Ric Flair said to be the man, woo, you got to beat the man. Ladies and gentlemen, he is that man, Marvin Constant.
Hey, Roll Tide. Hey. Shout out to Kelly and Matt Weathersby. I had a great time watching the game with y'all this weekend. Betty, they said thank you for not taking the tickets.
Also saw some great photos from them as well that Marvin will show us later. Anyway, just above him, he is an all-SEC defensive back. He's one of the best to ever come from the Buffalo Bills as both a player and a scout. He also was a scout for the XFL, and he's one of the top evaluators in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show, Smoke Dixon.
What's happening? Good getting with y'all this Friday, man. I got a chance to hang out with my brother Steven. Petty was there. Justin had the family there. Y'all had a family reunion playing Papa Shot. Nephew better jump shooter than you got, man. You don't got a jump shot. Nephew got you. I see where the real athleticism went. Your nephew.
And as soon as the show over, Smoke ran out of there, didn't stay to say bye. He was gone.
Was a trail.
I was too. Man. We were in there for a minute.
Hold on now, Justin. I didn't run out of there.
We got to wrap up anyway. Taking charge. I'm the leader here. Just below him is a senior analyst of Touchdown Alabama Magazine and the Bama Standard. He's a guy that keeps Paul Feinbaum employed. Ladies and gentlemen, Stephen M. Smith.
Man, happy to be here. I had so much fun Friday with everybody. It was cool seeing Jimmy Clay, everybody that came out to support. Reggie Ragland was there. Just cool vibes all the way around.
All the way around. Jimmy Clay and Reggie Ragland, and we hung out, we kicked it. What more can you ask for? Alabama football and Stephen M. Smith.
Are you trying to be me or President Obama?
I think I'm you, Stephen.
Well, he had to step in because
you know what?
got that cheap Wi-Fi.
Hey, man, Marvin, you know who you sound like? You sound like me. You sound like you felon that trying to be like everybody else.
I see they left a light on for you at the 6, huh?
Hey, man, they do. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. They brought me in for some media for my upcoming show this Saturday, and they put me in. Look at this room, y'all. Look at this. Like I just got married.
Turn it back.
Hold on a
What time
second.
does the dominatrix get there?
Hold on. Did you request a 50 Shades of Grey suite, Steve?
Oh, man.
I heard if you press a button by the light stand there, some
they
Jodeci
left condoms
plays.
on the pillow, and they left condoms on the pillow, and they ain't even my size. They too big. Look, so
Can't
right,
give
go
you
ahead.
anything
Go
right.
ahead, Too
We
much
got to
information.
write a bad Yelp review then for you.
All
Listen,
right.
listen, folks. We have got a lot to break down, especially from this past weekend. And back by popular demand, I know everybody has been chomping at the bit. They have waited to hear one of Marvin's passionate takes. Well, folks, it's that time. Constant Chaos is back.
Y'all ready for this? Be the man! You gotta beat the man!
Here comes the
Davis gets leveled by Marvin Constant.
Now, all last week, last show, I had to hear I was the outlier. Everybody else was, hey, Bama this, Bama that. I said we did what we were supposed to do against Western Kentucky. You're not giving them enough credit. Okay, how much credit you want me to give them today? All right. Alabama, 194 yards rushing with this immaculate run back room. South Florida, 206 yards rushing. Alabama, 20 first downs. South Florida, 21 first down. Their quarterback rushed for 108 yards, average 4.7 yards per carry. Running back 11 for 64, 5.8 yards per carry. How the hell did we get outrushed by South Florida? How? But yet we're supposed to compete against the big boys here in a few weeks. That's why I said I prefer to play better teams early in the season so we see what our deficits are so we can correct them. So now we got to go into Wisconsin. After Wisconsin, just watch this film of them out rushing us with supposedly the best rush attack in the country. Listen, man, we got a lot of things we got to clean up. Not saying we can't do it, but how the hell we get out rushed by South Florida? Somebody please explain that to me.
Well, let me see if I can help explain this to you a little bit better, Marvin.
I know you want to give me the politically correct diplomatic answer. I'm just looking at the numbers.
Hey, Mook, you've known me since 1999. How many times have I ever given you a politically correct answer?
Never.
Exactly.
Never. I usually give you the God honest, right?
That's what I want.
So how do you get outrushed by South Florida? You get outrushed by not having gap control and having the integrity of your defense and answers for a quarterback run and zone read.
Now,
Right.
can I ask you a question, though?
Talk to me, buddy.
Say in this defense, before the season started, if we lose control of our gaps and guys are not where they're supposed to be, you're going to have the potential for a lot of big runs. Is that not what I said, though?
You were dead on, right? So you and I both know there's answers towards defending in zone read, right?
Yeah.
It's either you scrape and chase or you stay at home and fill. Right, that's a lot between the linebacker and the defensive end to that play side. We didn't see any of that, and we just saw continuous quarterback on the edge by himself. You didn't give any false keys or make that quarterback change up his reads, meaning keeping the defensive end shoulder squared, then chasing down the line of scrimmage, or lining up in the bare front, just 5 across the line of scrimmage, and making sure that they don't have any reads and force them to throw. Which they struggled. They only threw for 95 yards. So, with all that said,
their quarterback missed on a lot of deep balls that had he been accurate, it would have been a problem.
Well, that's a big if. So we all knew that going in. They only threw for 95 yards, and they whooped you in the rush game. So now that if you go into a quarter or a half, you say, well, they haven't shown you the ability to throw wide open throws and connect on them. So what do? Now you got to load the box up and make them run. So long story short, Marvin, here's my politically correct answer. South Florida outcoached Alabama last Saturday, and it wasn't close. I would give South Florida staff a B, because I only give them an A if they won the game, and I would give Alabama staff a D, close to being a failure of an F.
Yeah, because
Just
that
have
was
a
a
man-
close game.
As far as on the defensive part of the ball, that's what you're saying on defense, or just as a whole?
Oh,
On defense.
Yo,
On defensive staff.
Okay, so Mark, can I say this? Mark, can I say this? But a lot of those tackles a lot of those yards were tackles for losses that they missed. They missed a lot of tackles in the backfield. They could have had this quarterback sacked a lot of times. But mind you this guy's like 6'6", 260 pounds. He's a big dude.
It don't matter. You got a job to do. You do your job.
No.
This tackle is a part of your responsibility. This is what I'm saying, though. Now, let's add into
I understand that.
Hold on 1 second. Let's say hypothetically they could have had the ability to pass the ball better. They would have ate our asses alive if they're able to complete those deep balls the way they were running the damn ball on us. They would have ate our asses alive. We'd have been sitting here looking like Notre Dame right now.
But again, Marvin, I get your passion and I agree with it, and the chaos is real for right now. But they didn't complete those passes. It wasn't close. So you live with those. My thing is,
we can't talk about stuff that didn't happen.
I've seen them have more answers for what South Florida was doing to them with quarterback run and zone read. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so let me say this. Let me play the devil's advocate. Could y'all also see Coach DeBoer and the defensive coach kind of holding back because they were getting ready for the big games, or they just clearly got out coached?
It wasn't no holding back. Their asses was on the line. They was on the road for 3 quarters. You ain't no time to hold back.
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm saying,
Steve, your connection is breaking up. But they started blitzing and adding more pressures the second half because they didn't have any answers for their run game. Right. That's why they started doing what they were doing the second half. You notice you've seen a lot more blitzes, a lot more pressures, right?
Okay.
Because they couldn't stop it.
Right.
So, Steve, to answer your question, no, I don't believe they were holding anything back. They flat out just didn't have any answers at that point to stop it. If you go back to the old staff, that's one of the things that Nick Saban staff always was good at. They adjust on the fly.
Answer.
Make in-game adjustments.
None here.
Better than any staff in college football. That's what the separator with them on defense. If you came out and they thought you were doing something else and you started going to zone read, he would go over there after that series, draw it up and say, okay, this is what we're doing every single time that they go running back near with the tight end. We're going to go to this front. We got this blitz and it's automatic. We check into it and that's it. You didn't see that on Saturday. And that was missing.
You seen it second half, but by that point, it was almost too late.
Yeah, Marvin, to me, as a good coordinator or even an average coordinator, you fix it once you get off the field on that series. Then you don't wait until the second half. So even if you did it the second half, Marvin, they got this new technology, right? They got this new iPad.
That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't have had to wait.
Unlike in the NFL has still shots. In college, it's real live film. So it's like you watching the film and you can correct it right then and there. So there's no reason for you not to be able to get to the sideline and fix it right now with just a simple answer within your package.
And that's what I'm saying. So why would they wait to halftime? They should have, because if you notice, it was a completely different scheme second half. You should have been addressed, like you said. I'm agreeing with you. They should have been addressing it on the fly. Why are you going to let them continue to kill you with it before you decide to adjust to it?
Marvin, so there are A-level coaches, B-level coaches, C-level coaches, and then the rest of them. You got to decide on what you saw that day. Not overall, but that day. And that side of the ball did not have enough answers, and they didn't do a good enough job to give those young kids answers to fix their issues right then and there.
Nope.
That's a perfect way to segue to our next topic. But before I do that, I want to go to what's going on in the chat. We have a couple of super chats, so let's hit those first. We love our fans. Don Parker, thank you, sir. $5. Don't feel bad, Marvin. I got 10 new haters in the chat last week for telling the truth. This team has problems doing fundamentals for 4 seasons now.
Yep, I agree.
And then we got Tim Lovett, got $1.99. Thank you, sir. We need 4 down linemen on the damn field.
I wouldn't disagree with that either.
All right. And the one audience question we're going to answer right now comes from James Knox. One question, fellas. Shouldn't Bama's coaching staff still have the O-line prepared to play the 2024 season with or without Proctor when he was back in Iowa? Who wants to take that? Smoke, you want to take that?
Yeah, I take that. I think they did have the answer on offensive line. They took Booker out and put him at tackle. The transfer in, they put him in at left guard. And other than 75 having issues holding up, they had answers. It just wasn't a good enough answer.
True. All right, real quick, we got Don Parker, another $5. Thank you, sir. The scary part about all of this, Pete and Bill are gone. Can the panel speak on the play calling on offense? Well, the lack of play calling. Stephen and Smith, go ahead. We're going to touch a lot about this tonight, but go ahead. Just give the audience what they want, Stephen and them. Take this, sir.
I felt like the lack of offensive play calling, you have to look at Nick Sheridan. Not everything has to be a go route. Like, not everything has to be vertical routes. We saw so many guys just running straight down the field. We did not see a mixture of slants, of skinny posts, of bang eights, of comeback routes. We did not see a diverse – we didn't see diversity within the route tree. And when we started to see that, as you guys mentioned, late in the second half, that's where the points came. Ryan Williams' touchdown came off a comeback route. He worked back to the ball, caught it, turned, broke a tackle, scored. Kobe Prentice, his touchdown came off of a skinny slant route. Went inside, caught it, broke a tackle, scored. So your touchdowns came where you had different guys running different route concepts, where you were having problems. Everybody was basically running the same route, and you're telling Jalen Miro, hey, chunk it deep. South Florida is not going to give you the deep ball. So you're underneath.
Yeah, so I think Bama's kind of in a pickle, because over the few years you've had really, really good play callers. So now I don't know if this guy is ever going to match up to Sarkisian, Kiffin, Loxley, Brian Daboll. As much as you want Billy O'Brien.
No.
Just hold tight. I'm just going through names. Billy O, you can knock him all you want to and say what he as a person.
Not gonna play caller.
You remember Christian Hackenberg? There's only one guy that made Christian Hackenberg look like he was decent.
True.
You remember Deshaun Watson when he was in Houston? What does he look like without Billy O'Brien?
Yeah, he looked terrible yesterday.
Yeah, he's right. So we can knock it all we want. Billy
He
O
needed
is
a
what he
massage.
is. Right. Billy O is what he is. So when you look at an offense, and I went back and I studied the film with Bama, you have to have answers of how you want to attack a defense. If you want to attack them horizontally, vertically, and then throw mixtures in there. The thing that Sarkisian and Lane and Loxley and all those guys, they always had answers to something that they wanted to attack. Even if they came in with a game plan and said, all right, scratch that, they're showing me something different. That's what real defensive coordinators do. They show you something and show you a changeup. Then after the changeup, now you got to go to your counter. We aren't seeing counters, instant fixes on the football field as of right now. And again, that's because, one, this is a new group, so they're still trying to feel each other out and see what we can and can't do. So that might be a part of it. It's only game 2. How much of the playbook can the players handle?
Right.
How much of the playbook can the coaches call and the players apply that on the field? That's always going to be that touch and go until you get to a certain point in the season. You said, okay, good. We have 70 or 80% of our playbook in. I don't know what percentage that's in, but it can't be 100% because you're not seeing answers on the fly like you would.
Right, but
the seasoned play caller.
Right, but the problem with that is, we get into real competition now.
Right.
It's balls to the walls at this point. So, if you're ready or you're not, from here forward.
Well, and Marvin, and that's why you see a lot of the times first-year coaches struggle, and they come away with 8 or 9 wins because they don't have the full gamut of what they want to do. Their program is just starting.
I wish I'd have known that far bet all this damn money.
See, that's what it comes
You
down
know,
to.
you know what?
There's the underlier.
You know what? I just believe that, with the offensive line coming back, because we're not giving an account that we had a mix and match of offensive line. We had guys playing out of position. We're also not counting the fact that this quarterback should have been sacked at least 5 times, but he broke the tackle and ran for a long for a lot of yards. Y'all, I want y'all to understand. I watched the game twice. I didn't study it like smoke, but a lot of his yards came from broken tackles in the backfield. A lot of players were in position, they just didn't make the tackle. That happened a whole lot. That is why a lot of us were so frustrated. And then when we did finally make we hit, we got called for targeting. So, I'm not making any excuses for the defense, or the defense coordinator, but a lot of these guys were right there to make the plays. They just didn't make the tackle. And it's very frustrating, So that's what I saw. And then on we'll get to the offensive side of the ball a little later when Justin takes us there. But on defense, I just saw a lot of missed tackles. If we can clean that up, we would have had at least 5 sacks. And that guy wouldn't have had nearly as many yards that he had. Because again, he broke a tackle or 2, and then he was gone.
Well, Steve, I hate to tell you, that's a part of the game.
That's part of the game.
It is.
That's part of the game.
And Steve's internet is brought to you by Motel 6.
It's still messing up?
It's
badly. Very badly.
I thought you might be bringing in a freight to the
Hey, man, I call myself doing it on my phone. But listen, guys, I'll just check out because I don't want the quality of the show to be bad. So, guys, I'm just going to check out, and I'll try to go somewhere else and reconnect. So I'm going to let y'all have it.
I'll hold you down, Steve.
My man, appreciate it.
We'll anxiously await. All right, guys. Real quick, let's go around the room before we get to Stephen and Smith's segment. Let's give some personnel group grades. Let's make it quick, rapid fire. Choose who you want to talk about. And we'll start out with Marvin, and then we'll go to Stephen M., and then we will go to Smoke. And I'll give mine last.
I mean, defense as overall, I'm going to give the whole unit a C. That's the best I can do at this moment. I'm going to grade them as a unit because I can't blame the linebackers for one thing based upon what the D-line done. I can't blame the D-line based upon the tackles being missed by linebackers. I can't blame the second. Again, it's a unit. So I'm going to give them a C overall. That's the best I can do right now.
Okay, fair enough. Stephen M.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Oh, man. So for me, I'm gonna take the receiving unit as a whole. We're talking wide receivers and tight ends. So the receiving unit as a whole, I'm gonna give this grade an incomplete. And here's why. We're still not seeing the tight ends. We're still not seeing them. We barely see Dupree out there. We don't see Josh Cuevas. We haven't seen Danny Lewis for real. They only target Robbie Oots when they're in goal line. I don't understand why that is. And so from the receiver aspect, that incomplete comes from I don't think we're rotating all of our guys. Like Kobe Prentice doesn't get the ball much at all. Jeremy Bernard, I mean, yes, he stepped up. He made 4 catches. That was nice, but it's like they're trying to force feed the ball to Ryan Williams. He's a talented young man. Don't get me wrong. He's special, but you can't just force feed him the ball. You got to work that ball all the way around this offense. So I haven't seen enough from this wide receiver room to give a grade. They're still incomplete to me. I'm still trying to figure out, who is really that those guys to depend on.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and every now and then you got to call a spade a spade. Marvin, that's a good job. Even though you went off and you were chaotic, I think your C grade is appropriate, and that's what I would give the defense. And I know you're going to segue next to the offense, and we can get to the offensive grades in the next segment, Justin.
Absolutely. All right. I'll start us out with the offense, but I also want to speak on the coaches. But offense, I'll go with the running backs first. I'll give them a B+. Those guys came with it. Despite all the adversity that was thrown their way, they were still able to overcome that adversity, create their own yards, and get those much-needed yards when it mattered. And they were the ultimate deal closers in this game. Call it what you will. Yeah, USF may have been tired and worn down, but the fact is they hit that turbo button when it counted, and we were able to seal the deal. As far as coaches, I'm a C-. My biggest thing we've talked about last week when we entered into this game, we thought one of the biggest advantages for this team was we had an identity as opposed to last year. Right now, I don't think we have an identity. I think we have an idea of what we want to be, but we don't know who we are. We're a team that has some great running backs and is able to pop for great yards. But is that truly who we are? We don't know until this week, possibly, and maybe next week. But we've already mentioned a few of these things. Lack of in-game adjustments on the fly. Sometimes you don't wait to the half to make adjustments. You got to do it immediately, because if you're against a team like, say, Tennessee with King Nico, who is going off right now, you can find yourself behind real quick, fast, in a hurry. Our team looked really unmotivated. They looked unprepared. It looked like a funeral service on the sideline. We were out-coached, and just they looked like they didn't take into account last year at all. I thought going in, we had that fresh on our mind, along with all the trash talking that Alex Golesh provided leading up to this game. Alex Golesh provided what he provided was correct, and he proved himself. And he was the better coach in this game. So I got to give our coaching staff a C-, and hopefully we can move forward. So, yeah, let's go to the offensive side of the ball. Start us out, Marvin.
They control the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I'm going to just be honest. They controlled it on both sides of the ball. They asserted their will on us. They controlled it. If we can't control the line of scrimmage against South Florida, it's going to be a long damn season, baby. That's all I'm saying.
You're not off.
We getting ready to play some horses in these next few weeks. And if South Florida dominated us on both sides of the ball at the line of scrimmage.
So I started off on the offensive side. And let's talk offensive line. There were some penalties. At times they look like they were confident in what they were doing and what they were trying to do. And that goes again with continuity. Like you said, Booker's playing left tackle, new guy coming in, the right tackle's upside down, not trying to figure himself out. So for me, for the offensive line, I would give them a C. And just for the simple fact that in the second half, well, in the fourth quarter, they got it right and started figuring out that they wanted to run the ball and be assertive. And it's like they went over there and somebody got at them. But the quarterback position, I thought that Jalen would have more leadership. And with a leader, the thing that you can't be is emotional. And he has some times that you see like he's nervous, anxiety with the fumble down there. You got to be able to get center quarterback exchange right. And when your team is taking that roller coaster ride, you have to be the stabilizer when you're the quarterback. And if that's taking them over there, huddling them up, having a conversation, or even a look that you give them to let them know that, hey, we're serious and it's time to go. Or now if you're the play caller and you understand that your quarterback right now needs to settle down, what plays settle him down? Some quarterbacks might be a run. Some quarterbacks might be an easy access throw. Or you say, you know what? We're just going to run the ball 6 times in a row and get this thing over with and get him into rhythm, because Bama's offense never got into true rhythm. The receiver conversation, Steven, I'm not going to give them incomplete. I'm going to give them the same grade as a C, just because they're not separating from defenders. You don't see them getting open, and that's route snapping off at the top, coming back to the ball, finding ways when Milrose in scramble mode to work back to the ball and make sure that they become available targets and find windows. The tight end group, again, they have a lot to do with blocking, and also they tie in with the receivers. They also get a C. The running back group is the only one I would say gets a grade over a C, and I would give them a B for the day.
I'm going to agree with you on that B. But when it comes to the wide receiver play, you are 100% correct. But the one thing I will say, I'm glad to see them get Bernard more involved in the offense. I told y'all going into the season, if this offense is going to go, Bernard is going to have to be involved, because Williams is going to be double teamed and bracketed often. So you might as well go ahead and take that out of the equation and think you're going to have a big game for him every week. Who's going to be that number 2 guy that's going to truly carry the team? It's going to be Bernard. They're going to have to get him involved. They got him involved a lot more Saturday as the game went on, and you see how that went. But it's going to have to be early and often because, again, Williams is not going to be a factor in most games because of the double coverages, the brackets. You got to have a solid number 2.
Guys, you remember when Sark had Smitty and Loxley had the ride outs? There were times that the offense weren't going, and all they did was that Z motion, underhand pitch, and that counts as a pass, and they picked up 15, 20 yards and was close. You can do things like that with K-Law. You can get K-Law in the screen game. You can get in the tunnels. You can have to go into the game, and I always see play caller with a play sheet that it will just have K-Law on it. And when it was time for K-Law, they'll just go to their K-Law call sheet and just call it. Ryan Williams would have his plays that he's comfortable with, and we know we can work it. And I just don't see that side of it in terms of offensive play calling, where you know that your guy's hot, you know that they can't cover your guy, or if your guy's getting bracket. Okay, cool. If you guys are bracketing Ryan, I got to free Ryan up. I got to now take him from lining up at the X or Z. I got to put him in motion and let him tell me what the coverage is going to be. Because if you're going to move the coverage to Ryan Williams, you're going to tell me what I'm going to do in the run game and also in the pass game. And I'm going to adjust off of that. But that's just high-level coaching, high-level expectation of play caller, high-level performance on days that your team needs you to come out and take that $1 million coaching salary and go to work.
Because here's the thing. You send him in motion, they roll that safety down. You ought to have a receiver to the field who can take the damn top off. Come on, know what you're doing.
Very well said. Before we turn it back over to Stephen M. Smith, we got a few super chats we need to get to. Starting out with the man himself. We've already shouted him out early, but we never get tired of it. Jimmy Clay, $10, beat Wisconsin. RTR.
Jimmy.
Just below him, we got Eric Beasley, $10, Roll Tide. And then below him, we got Brandon Clear, $4.99. The offensive play calls will not matter if the O-line can't block. Bryce was an outlier, but Milroe will get there when Proctor is back. Relax. Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that just a little bit.
We'll get there, but that's one thing I hate talking about. I think offensive line gets blamed a ton for if the run game's not going, it's offensive line. If the pass game, if the quarterback's getting sacked, it's offensive line. It's always a combination of two. The run game is a combination of the offensive line and the running back being in sync. The pass protection is also a combination of the quarterback setting the protection and also knowing where to go with the ball before he gets touched. He is lined up 5 yards in the backfield. And
receivers getting separation.
There you go.
True.
It all goes together. Can't just blame one part.
You can't just blame the offensive line.
Cannot agree more. Kelly Weathersby, well, thank you so much. This is one of our biggest fans. We love you, Kelly. $19.99. Love to the crew because I've been MIA the past few weeks, and we have missed you greatly. Thank you for bringing back Constance Chaos, RTR.
My man, look at him. Got fans out there. Look at Kelly. Dude.
Kelly, Matt experienced Constance Chaos firsthand Saturday.
Yes, I saw pictures. Anyway, Don Parker, again, $5. You are so not alone, Marvin Constant. It's important to win in the trenches at the point of attack. Not seeing it. Tim Lovett, $4.99. I didn't like moving Booker outside and not trusting a backup left tackle. Felt like we could have had a better run game earlier. Lawson has disappeared as well. You're going to have games like that. And then Adam Lapinrello, $15. Guys, at what point with DeBoer will DeBoer give Ty Simpson a chance? Milroe has had 4 years in the program, and his improvement is minimal. We will not win with him. Smoke, you want to take that?
I will take that right now. Okay, Adam, that's a knee-jerk reaction. You are 1 year and 2 yards removed from playing in the national championship game with Jalen Milroe. They are the SEC champions. He finished in the top 10 in the Heisman vote. If Ty Simpson was better than Jalen Milroe, I promise you he'll be starting. He's not ready yet. Put that to bed. Your quarterback for this year is Jalen Milroe. Deliver results, and you'll be perfectly fine.
Well said. All right. Stephen M. Smith, you've been sitting in the deacon's chair praying and meditating for far too long. It's about time we got to the depth chart because we had to get updated on these injuries. So I'm going to roll your great music and take it away.
Stephen M., let's get to it. Everybody wants to know, when is Caden Proctor going to get back to his starting spot and in his post at left tackle to get this offensive line back stable and get ready to go to Camp Randall so they don't jump around and we jump in the end zone?
Well, on Monday, I was at Coach DeBoer's press conference, had a time there. He mentioned that Proctor could have went against South Florida. He actually had a very good toward the end of the week of practice last week. We know how the coaching staff is. Those small things like to take precaution with anything. So they said, hey, we know you're doing good. You're chomping at the bit. You want to get back out there, but let's not put you out here just yet. And you could see Proctor on the sideline visibly like, I want to get out there. But they were not going to put that man out there, even though he did go through pregame warmups prior to the matchup against South Florida. So he will be good to go this week. He'll be back this week. This will be his week. He'll return against Wisconsin. He'll be back at his left tackle post. Once again, could have been back last week, but DeBoer was like, we don't want to, do too much. So just sit down right. I know you're frustrated, but just sit down right there. We'll bring you back for Wisconsin.
So Booker's going to go back to his left guard post. The center remains the same. Jaden Roberts remains the same at right guard. What's the answer for Bama at right tackle?
I think it's Pritchett. I mean, as Formby is not god awful, but you can see where Formby's young. I mean, young, and had issues with holding penalties since high school at times. So when you have a guy in Pritchett who, once again, he wanted to be out there as well. He had an issue with an ankle throughout the week of practice, but got better as the week went on. You put him out there, and you could see he wanted to be out there, blocking down, kicking out blocks here, springing Jam Miller, springing Justice Haynes on both touchdown passes from Milroe. Pritchett is standing his guy up, not letting him get to the quarterback there on the outside at offensive tackle. I think and Pritchett came to the sideline showing fire. I don't know if y'all saw that, but Pritchett was on the sideline yelling, screaming, jumping, cussing in folks' face like, I need to be out there. Like, you can see it in Pritchett's face like, this is supposed to be for me right here. And that's the kind of mentality you want to see on the offensive line. And he showed that. He showed that fight of, I got to be out here.
Stephen,
and I think that fight puts him out there.
I want to. One thing you said was, Formby was not god awful. You're quantifying a level of bad. So it shouldn't even be a discussion if you got to say he's not god awful. You're saying he's awful, but he's just not god awful. So that's the answer to the question right there. You need the replacement.
You do.
Well, Mark, look, Steve, he's screaming at you, so I'm gonna get him off you. Marvin, I'm gonna say this. He didn't play up to the standard, but the week before he played better. Right, so with young players, there's some inconsistency that's going to pop up. It's a roller coaster ride that you got to go with young players.
Right.
The thing that I would say is, if you don't start him, he still has to get 15 to 20 plays a game. Find ways to get him. You don't want to bench him and leave him right there because you're going to take his confidence away. And at some point, you're going to need him during this season. You're going to need him.
Extra point, punt team.
No.
Absolutely
not.
I think the biggest thing, guys, with Wilkin was, and keep this in mind, Western Kentucky didn't challenge anybody, right? Challenge nobody. You look at South Florida, Alex Golish had his group, though a bit undersized, challenging you. And when Wilkin was challenged there, it kind of shook him a little bit because he wasn't challenged that first week, and he didn't play much at all in 2023, his first year. Right. Pritchett came in there. Pritchett's like, man, bump that. Bring it on. Because Pritchett had been in the system for 3-4 years. Right. So Pritchett gets it. He understands. Bring it on. Formby is not at that point where he can say, bring it on. Let's get it. Let's dance this thing. He's not at that point yet.
And
So-
Marvin, in my few years, you could actually like Elijah Pritchard's not a great athlete. He's a solid athlete. When you aren't a great athlete, it's hard for you to go left tackle, right tackle, because there's muscle memory that you have to have and athleticism to just switch and go to the other side. He's a better right tackle because that's what he's practiced the most at. And to me, he looks more comfortable and plays with way more confidence than when you put him at the left side.
I'm agreeing with you.
So if you go with this line with Proctor being back this week, you go with this line of Proctor, Booker, Parker, Roberts, Pritchard, and you let that 5 get that continuity that they need. This is the 5 you roll with.
Got it. Now we know that Jefferson let's go to the defensive side. Jefferson is going to be out for the first half just because of the targeting penalty.
Bad call.
We can disagree with it or not. So he was showing flashes of coming on. Who's going to replace him in terms of reps for that first half?
You got 2 guys. I mean, and it's a coin flip. Either one can go out here. You got Jeremiah Alexander. You got Justin Okonrokwo. Which one do you want? I mean, Justin O showed a lot of pop in the spring, showed a lot of pop throughout camp. Jeremiah Alexander dropped, 12 pounds, went from 249 to 232, has quickness on the inside. So either one of those 2, you flip a coin, whichever one you feel the most comfortable with, but those are the 2.
And now, since we have touched the defense, it goes to special teams. Punt returner. Our guy Cole. Is he going to return for the Wisconsin game, or we're going to have to go with the young guy, Jalen Mbakwe, a punt returner?
That's the question, Smoke. Coach DeBoer talked about he was limited today. He starts off limited. They're going to be working him in each day, Wednesday, Thursday, to kind of see where he is with the upper extremity. If he's good to go, he'll go. If not, get Mbakwe reps anyway. Mbakwe reps anyway, because the one punt return he had, that was explosive.
That was explosive.
He took that ball and he was gone. And this is something that he did at Clay Chalkville High School at a high level. So whether or not Cole can go, you hope he can. But whether or not, I'm getting Mbakwe reps, period. Because that guy showed me if he can make somebody miss, he gone with it.
Well, the only thing that I would throw, and I'll throw a little bit of tidbit out there, just being an old special team guy and special team coordinator, you're going to have a left-footed punter. And I know that sounds like it's every day. It's different catching the ball off a left-footed punter. Rugby left-footed punter for Wisconsin. It's going to be challenging. And for a young guy that has not done it at a high clip in college, is coming from high school, that's something that's going to challenge him. The wind is going to be moving around in Wisconsin. Something that we have to look at and pay attention to, how he feels the ball, and does he truly get an opportunity to return something.
That's going to be the big thing, Smoke, and you hit that with the wind blowing, whether it's blowing west to east, north to south, no matter where that wind's blowing, it moves the trajectory and the bounce of that ball. And being able to judge it cleanly, being able to catch it cleanly, field it cleanly, but at the same time, have a feel for where your creases are, where your wedges are, how to hit it, cut it properly, get up and down the field. So this will be a big test for Mbakwe against the wind. How do you judge that football? If I was him, I would probably go watch old clips of Eddie Jackson doing this in Alabama, because Eddie had a knack for judging the bounce of the ball. Eddie had a knack for it. Jalen Waddle had a knack for it. Christian Jones was very, very good at it. David Deuce Palmer. These were guys that had a knack for where that wind is blowing. How do I catch this ball? How do I judge the bounce off this ball? How do I feel this ball cleanly and take off with it?
Left-footed punter again. But Stephen M., you're officially off the injury report, depth chart, hot seat.
All right. Woo.
Beautifully done, sir. Beautifully done. Before we move forward, we got another super chat to get to. We got Joseph Washington getting in on the action. Thank you, sir. $10. Roll Tide, fellows. Where can I get tickets for Steve Brown's Truck Stop Comedy Tour? Hide the lot lizards. Well, you can actually inbox him at Comic Steve Brown on Instagram. He can definitely give you exactly what you need. All right, I need Coach Dixon and Coach Constant to step to the podium, please. What we're going to do here, and I'm introducing this topic this week because fans have been asking it nonstop. My inbox is flooded. My DMs are flooded. We've been talking over the past few weeks that Coach DeBoer is holding back, waiting for name your opponent, whether it's Wisconsin or whether it's Georgia. We've been talking all the way up through the fall camp, scrimmages, and even in the season about the different phases. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's ask the question at hand. This phase, we're heading to Wisconsin. We're going a much tougher opponent. We're on the road, 11 a.m. game. It's crazy. The environment's wild. Is this the time that Coach Kalen DeBoer finally opens that playbook? Start us out, Smoke, and then we'll let Marvin give his 2 cents.
Y'all let me go first, because
I will go.
Go ahead. Go first.
Smoke gonna bring us home, baby.
Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
All right. Hey, I mean, I'll call it what it is, man. I mean, he better have the playbook open because, again, you can go into Wisconsin, Madison, if you want to underestimate it. And this is still Wisconsin football. Luke Fickell is still their head coach. You look at the work he did at Cincinnati. Don't think that this man is not going to have this team prepared to play. They're a very balanced offense. They have just about as many rush yards as they do have pass yards. Listen, this team is going to hit you in the mouth, and they can stretch the field. I'm telling you now, you go in there with your playbook half-ass if you want to. You're going to be giving answers and excuses at the press conference. I'm telling you now. So he better be damn ready because, again, it's a Luke Fickell coach team. Very well coached, balanced offense. It can prove to be very problematic. And like you said, it's in Wisconsin. You got that wind coming off the bay. The temperature's probably going to be cooler than they expect it to be because, again, they've been in the South in this heat all the time. When you play in a cooler temperature, it does affect you. They have a lot of factors going against them. It's an early morning kickoff. Listen, man. It's a lot of factors in place, so they better go in there cocked and ready.
Well, the first thing I would touch on is this team's first road game. Going on the road has an entire different level of challenges to itself. You're not sleeping in your comfort of the hotel room that you're used to in Tuscaloosa. Young guys like Ryan Williams, first time going on the road, getting prepared and understanding what that's going to feel like. That's where the older guys hold them by the hand and actually teach them what to do on the road. But the coaching staff also has a lot to do with it. Second question, the playbook. I don't believe that they're holding anything back. They're calling the game that their players can truly understand and apply on the football field. It would be foolish of any one of us to think that they're holding their playbooks back. The plays that they're going to call is what's predicated on what the defense gives them and what they've seen from Wisconsin in the years past. We also got to understand, Kalen DeBoer also coached at Indiana, Big Ten. So he understands Madison, Wisconsin. He understands what's going to happen. He understands the weather, the change of wind, how to attack that game, how to attack this defensive coordinator. So playbook being held back, I think that's just something that the fans want to jump on because Alabama's not scoring at a high clip and an offense doesn't look really smooth. But going on the road with young players and a new team, whole bunch of different scenarios and opportunities for young guys to get on the field and play. But the proper preparation is going to prepare them for piss poor performance. And this is the week that they have to step up.
And the last thing I would want to do as a head coach is go to Madison running plays I hadn't ran yet in game situations.
There you go.
You'd be a jackass to do that.
Yeah. They have a good handle on what they want to run. The players just got to execute it at a higher level. They're not the Sarkisian creative staff. They're not Lane Kiffin, where Lane can draw something up on the sideline. They have a system. It's worked. It just takes time for them to apply it, for the players to understand it. Continuity with the offensive line. Running backs understanding how to hit the holes. Receivers understanding how many revolutions they got to take in each step to come back and work timing. This takes some time, but I believe they'll be perfectly fine with their offense. It's just don't expect Sarkisian. This is Kalen DeBoer.
And you know about it, they have their plays, and you may see different variations of plays,
right?
But they're going to be the same plays they've been running, just different wrinkles to them.
And before anybody say anything, Everybody in the United States that plays football, everybody runs the same plays. It's just a matter of how you call them and how you set them up. Everyone runs RPO slant. Everybody runs zone read. Everybody got all 4 verticals. Everybody got sails, over, cross. It's the same thing. It's just how you call it and how you set it up that makes you a good play caller. The creativity with it.
Stephen M. Smith, you get to close us out. Will we see, as Marvin puts it, any jackassery from the coaching staff this week? You've had an opportunity to talk with them. What feel are you getting in the discussions after practices and the press conferences? Is this playbook going to be burst wide open?
My thing is it needs to start fast. The offense has to have a fast start. We're talking about against Western Kentucky, you did not score a touchdown on your first drive. Against South Florida, you did not score a touchdown on your first drive, and your offense didn't get into gear until the fourth quarter. You got to start fast, offensively and defensively, against Wisconsin because, as Marvin mentioned, you know what Luke Fickell is going to bring. You saw all the success he had at Cincinnati in the defensive line and the linebackers, especially in the secondary. This is a Luke Fickell that put Sauce Gardner and Kobe Bryant in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So the guy can flat coach. And he's going to bring a lot. So if you're Alabama's offense, you got to get off to a fast start. You cannot have penalties kill you. Not on the first drive of your offensive possession. So for Kalen DeBoer, for Kane Wommack, for Nick Sheridan, for this offense and this defense, you got to start fast in Madison, Wisconsin. Those fans at Camp Randall Stadium are crazy. And they get into a game very, very quickly. You want to silence them the moment you touch that field, and you do that by starting fast.
And just to touch on starting fast, most coordinators and most teams script the first 10 to 15 plays. If you are considered above average play caller on your 10 to 15 plays, you should score because you know exactly this is what you're calling is exactly what they're going to play because this is what you've studied, this is what you've coached up, this is what you've seen. If you have trips left and you motion to back out and you see that safety, like Marvin says, rotating one high, you said, okay, great, we got him in zone. This is the play that I want to run against because this is what we practice all week long. Now, after those first 15, that's when coaching starts because that's not what you've been practicing against. Now you got to adjust on what they show you. But for the first 15 plays, 95% of the world, other than option guys or those true air raid coaches, have the first 15 plays scripted. And you should execute those at a high clip. So you should start out fast, every team. The first drive, you should either get a field goal or touchdown because that's what you practice. That's what you got your money for that week. You sat in the office for 100-something hours. That's exactly what you got to do. Go execute it.
Absolutely. And hey, I want to give a shout out to the Wisconsin fans. In the brief few days we have interacted with them, they've been absolutely awesome, and they've recommended great places to go. And according to Smoke, he agrees with them. Trying fried cheese curds is the way to go. So if you're traveling up to Wisconsin, y'all might want to check that out. From what I'm being told, the inner fat kid inside you is going to be very excited. So keep that in mind.
We got a beer reference yesterday, and something that the spotted cow is what they should try when they get up to Wisconsin. The spotted cow at the varsity. That's what we got last night from our guy Ryan. Spotted cow. All right.
Before we dive any deeper, I want to remind everyone with the college football season completely underway, you cannot have a truly great Alabama football experience without your title towel. Visit them today at whitwellsports.com. Enter the promo code STANDARD. You get a nice discount courtesy of your favorite network, the Bama Standard Network. So grab your title towel today if you're traveling to Wisconsin or will be here next week for the Georgia game. whitwellsports.com. All right. We're talking about opening up the playbook. Let's talk about Alabama. Obviously, the glaring issue for Wisconsin, and it's been this way the past 2 seasons, well, a season and 2 games, their rush defense leaves something to be desired. Against South Dakota last week, they gave up a 75-yard touchdown drive that included no passes. They were gashing Wisconsin right and left. They are currently ranked number 66th in the nation. against the run. Last year they were 40th, but it's nothing really better. They're giving up 121 yards per game, and in the red zone they don't fare any better. Number 86 in the nation. And did I mention their top linebacker, Jake Chaney, will be out for the first half due to targeting in the previous game. So, fellas, we've got some dudes in that backfield. Justice, Jam. Oh, Jalen Milroe can tote the rock too. So, is the game ultimately determined, or the outcome in Alabama's favor on the rushing attack, attacking their defense, who is showing they can't stop anything in that regard? Let's turn it over to Smoke first, then we'll go to Marvin, and then Stephen M.
So Mike Tressel, that's Jim Tressel's nephew, is the defensive coordinator at Wisconsin. They haven't been playing good rush defense or a good brand of gap control, controlling the line of scrimmage defense for the last 2 years. Marvin, you and I are old school. This ain't the Wisconsin that you and I know. The old Wisconsin, they can run the ball, and you ain't running the ball against them. And I'll give Stephen M. this question. Stephen M., do you remember the defensive coordinator for USC last year? You remember his name?
Grinch.
Alex Grinch.
Do you know who the co-coordinator is for the Wisconsin Badgers is?
Don't tell me it's Alex Grinch.
Okay, so Alex Grinch is the co-coordinator and the secondary coach.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
So understand what you're going against. And that if Alabama stays with the run attack, and when you're running the ball, fans, just understand, you're not going to get 15 yards every carry. Running the football is a purpose. You have to have intention, and you have to be disciplined when you do that. You're going to get 3 yards, 4 yards, inside zone. Now those linemen are going to, and now you start adding in tempo with it, Marvin. That's when those big guys start gassing. They had their hands on the hip. Now, tempo doesn't necessarily mean you got to go fast. And you just got to get to the line of scrimmage so they can't sub in and out the game. And that's how South Dakota ran the ball down their throat, by having tempo, rushing, hitting the edge, running backs putting their foot in the ground and cutting back, because, again, they aren't doing a good job of having gap control and understanding what it is to stay inside their gaps, knock guys back, and take over the line of scrimmage. And now once they start getting nosy, that's when you can start pushing the ball downfield with the vertical attack that Coach Kalen DeBoer likes to do. That's what he did at Washington. That's what the man is known for, and that's what's going to happen. We can not like it, we can hate it, but we knew who we hired, and you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, but that successful run game, it does make that defense potentially have to walk that eighth defender, that safety down into the box, so that you do have a better shot at those verticals. But again, that starts with that offensive line taking control and dominating the line of scrimmage. So I'm looking forward to seeing a better performance out of them this week, because again, I expect to see Pritchard in the game. So again, as long as they can dominate the line of scrimmage, I think it's going to open that pass game up later in the game. So ultimately, the run game should win the game for us. So, but again, it starts with dominating the line of scrimmage, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
But also, guys, you have to remember, running backs aren't the only ones that need to run the ball. You can have quarterback runs with your quarterback, because he's one of the most dynamic players in college football. And Marvin, your old defensive coordinator, linebacker. The hardest thing to do is defend quarterback run, because you don't have enough men in the box to stop it. The extra guy is always going to be your quarterback. And the only way that you can stop it, like you said, is take that middle defender out of the middle of the field and bring him down to the box. Now the field is now open.
Yeah.
Big posts, takeoffs, sail routes.
Yeah, you come out of 4 and 5 wides, you're screwed if you got a mobile quarterback. That's the one thing about it. So, but again, we got to come out in those sets after we wear them down in the run game, because again, when those the DBs and linebackers are running with their backs turned, usually going to have a one-on-one with your middle linebacker and your quarterback if he takes off, because he's going to spy, or he's just responsible for the middle of the field, depending upon the defense you're running. And it does open it up. And you're going to tell me that Milroe's not more athletic than their middle linebacker? No. So
without a doubt, he is. There's not a lot of guys that's athletic.
Exactly. So you should see some big games from him in runs in those 4 and 5 wide receiver sets. I hope that they come out and do a lot more of that this week. I hope they come out and run a lot more screens this week as well. Do things to bring that defense closer to the box so that you can open up the field.
And make the game easier for your guys to just ease into, especially on the road. Marvin, the thing that travels on the road is rush defense and running the football. You get that crowd and not saying anything. Everybody wants to pass and chuck the ball vertical and all that. But if you want to take a team's heart, mind, sound, and soul out of the game, run the ball and everybody goes quiet.
Yeah.
Stephen and Smith, I need to hear from you on this. You've had an opportunity to listen to what these gentlemen have just put in front of you. Now, you've spoke with the coaches this week. Now, listening to what they've told you, are they giving you the same impression that ultimately a Bama W kind of rests on how successful we are in a rushing attack? Or, let me also ask you this. If for some reason Wisconsin finds a way to neutralize that run, can our wide receivers stretch that field? The reason I ask that is, now they can't stop the run very well, but what they do very well is stop things in that secondary. They got some dudes back there. They got Hunter Waller and they got Ricardo Hallman. If Alabama fans, we try to get Ricardo Hallman out of the transfer portal. We didn't have success doing that. He's a guy we would love to see on the field for us. So, Stephen and Smith, can you answer that two-part question for me, sir?
Well, starting this thing off against the run, that has been a point of emphasis this week, starting off in practice. Offensive line coach Chris Kaplovich, he understands, hey, this is a team, we got to be able to run the football on Wisconsin. Got to be able to do that. That's the reason why I feel like your offensive line moving forward, the five guys, it has to be Proctor, Booker, Parker, Roberts, Pritchett. Let those five get gelling. Let those guys get moving. You can run the football with those five guys. I feel like also, to Marvin's point, you have to work in the screen game. You got to work in the screen game. You got to work in the pop pass game. You got to work in the end around game. When Mike Tressel is not Jim Leonard. Jim Leonard is Wisconsin's old DC. Jim Leonard was big time. Jim Leonard's not there. So you got to be able, and you can be able, you should be able to run this football, and you also should be able to work off variations of that, whether it's jet sweeps, whether it's pop passes, whether it's end around. So those should be worked on as well. As far as the wide receivers are concerned, stretching the ball downfield, Alabama should be able to take some shots downfield on the secondary, but it starts off with take the underneath stuff first. You don't have to sit there and go ball it to Ryan Williams. Take the underneath stuff. Smoke mentioned this. Have plays for Kendrick Law. Get him freed up underneath. Have plays for Kobe Prentice. He's shown you he's reliable. Get him freed up on some plays. Free up Jeremy Bernard. Jerm has showed you, if you put the ball in me, I'm going to catch the football. So free up your guys. Create some stuff underneath. And once you create some stuff underneath, then you get those corners and those safeties cheating down. Then you can run that slant and go. Then you can run that post. Then you can run whatever you want to run to try to take some shots downfield.
And not only that, like I was saying about the screens, you know, what people don't understand with that screen game, even if you don't throw it, even if you fake it, all that does is makes that linebacker and those safeties take their eyes off the mark. So now you can come back with a dig route from the backside. Now you can come with a draw from the running back. It opens up so many options, even if you don't run it, but just fake running it and run it occasionally. Just give them something to look at.
You know who else it slows down, Marvin, and you've been having issues with?
D-line.
Those guys, there you go, those guys coming off the edge. They're not screaming up the field anymore if they're worried about throwing screens. They're going to hesitate, pause for a second, check screen, and now you can help out your tackles, that one that's been injured and one that's young and trying to figure out how to play. So as a coach, you got to have answers for your players as well, too.
The main thing here is take away the eye discipline from the defense. Once you take away the eye discipline from the defense, it becomes fair game.
Give them something to look at.
And we could even incorporate Kane Law in the run game. That's a four-headed monster as well. I mean, we reverse pop passes.
Just get in the ball.
Look, I thought about you would have Kane Law stretched out wide, bring him in motion, have him flank Milrow, give him the ball on his own read, and let him go.
And to add to our point, we got a Wisconsin fan, not a fan of Mike Tressel. He said, we Wisconsin fans don't like Mike Tressel. Dude is a clown, nothing like Jimmy Leonard. Absolutely. Bama kicks our ass this week. Only satisfaction for me as a Wisconsin fan is maybe we get a Bama woman.
There's Zane, boy. There is Zane.
Speaking of women, Justin, I think we got to get to the offensive side of Wisconsin, man. Let's unpack that a little bit.
Shout out to the Wisconsin fans in the chat. We greatly appreciate you being part of the family tonight. Y'all are much better fans than the Michigan Wolverine faithful. We appreciate that more than you know. All right, so yeah, let's get to the offensive side of the ball. If you're not familiar with how Wisconsin does things, we spoke a little bit about it earlier. Phil Longo is their offensive coordinator. He's a guy who likes to sling it around the yard. So basically, this simplify it. Wide receivers find open space, they get to it. The quarterback's job is to read those open zones and trust the wide receivers will find those spots. And this type of offense, though, the quarterback's got to have that chemistry with those wide receivers. He's got to be able to trust they're going to be where they need to be. And listen, Tyler Van Dyke, who's a much-traveled man and been in college for quite some time, does have some dudes on the outside, and Bryson Green and Will Pauling, very capable. But let's talk about something else when it comes to their offense. We mentioned it earlier when talking about Alabama, where you can kind of share this same pain. Wisconsin has identity crisis as well. We've talked about it earlier. All of us old heads remembers old Wisconsin. And what was old Wisconsin? Pop you in the mouth, blue collar, run you smack over with that run game and dare somebody to come across the line. You will definitely be making some life decisions at that time. The thing is, they moved away from that into something that really isn't a good fit. And why do I say that? The personnel they have right now is built to drive the rushing attack. Okay. This has created an issue. It created an issue this past game against South Dakota and the one previous against our boy over there at Central Michigan. Shout out to Lance Taylor. And why do I say this? Well, they abandoned Phil Longo last week, and they went back to their traditional rushing attack. So, guys, I want y'all to attack this side of things when it comes to Wisconsin. As we all know, if you can't stretch the field against Alabama, them dudes up front are going to make you pay. So,
Justin, you say that, but I'll be damned. South Florida couldn't stretch the field on us. They only had 90-something passing yards. They ran the damn ball down our throat.
Well, before you interrupted me, I was going to say that, but thank you, Marvin. I appreciate you for finishing my thoughts. Let's talk about this before we really talk about Tyler Van Dyke and his impact. Smoke, take this, then we'll sling it over there to Steve and then drop it down to Marvin.
Well, when you think about Phil Longo, Phil is last two stops was North Carolina, and North Carolina had Drake May. Before that, he was at Ole Miss. We had Matt Carroll. So when you look at it and it sounds to you, they want to play 10 personnel, that's 4 wide receivers, no tight end, and 11 personnel, that's 1 tight end, 1 running back. They want to open the ball. They want to open this game up, and they want to throw the ball vertically and horizontally. But with the way they want to run it is they want to run with a power attack, meaning they want to run the ball inside, but they want to run the ball with 5 blockers, max 6, because they don't typically use their quarterback in the run game. When you talk about Wisconsin, majority of their offensive linemen, touching the personnel side, is from Wisconsin. They're big, massive, strong, knock you in the face, want to run the ball 80% of the time, throw 20% of the time because inclement weather says so. Personnel that you can truly recruit says so. So now where you're at is you're at a crossroad. You haven't flipped your personnel in 2 years because that staff's only been here for 2 years. This is Phil's first year there. You haven't flipped that personnel to fit what the coach wants to do. And that was always one of my biggest hiccups. Coaches want to do what they want to do, not understanding that when you get to a place, you do what the players can do. So you have old Wisconsin that wants to run the ball and have personnel to play 12 and 21 personnel, but you're trying to make them play open field ball with a quarterback that struggles with Tyler Van Dyke, decision-making, and managing a football game. The more Tyler throws, the worse that he gets. There's good Tyler and there's awful Tyler. They're more awful than good Tyler. So that's what Wisconsin is fighting right now. They don't have an identity of what they want to do. The coaches believe that they do, but players and play has showed you that this is a crapshoot and they're just pulling plays out of a bag and trying to fit squares into round holes.
I'm coming out in 4 and 5 wides every play, and I'm still gonna run the damn ball. Every once in a while, I'm gonna come out with one tight end. I'm gonna motion him over, get a little bit of heavy personnel. And I'm gonna run the damn ball down Alabama throat. That's what approach I would take after watching what I watched last week. Spread them out. Use what you got to run the ball in the box because that's what South Florida did. But stretch it to the perimeter every now and again. Keep them damn honest. That's the approach I would take to beat the damn defense. Just being honest.
Well, you're absolutely right. And they got a deep running back room. They got some guys back there. Ches Malusi is one dude. He's a flat-out dog. And then behind him, K. Giacomelli. They don't play. I mean, if they just go back to traditional running game, then that might cause an issue based on what we saw last week. Can things change in a week? Absolutely. But you got to show us.
Exactly. I'm telling you, I would run 2 or 3 wide receivers to the field just to keep them safeties and the corners to the field, and everybody else, we finna run it into the boundary, hat on the hat, and big man their ass. That's what I would do.
And one of the people in the chat said, one of the fans said in the chat earlier today that Bama just needs to go 4 down and play ball. I understand that Coach Wommack's defense is the swarm defense where he goes to a 3-3 look with the bandit, the wolf floating all over the place. Maybe when you were at South Alabama, you needed to trick somebody or have some type of gimmick. But yeah, Alabama, there's no gimmick to them. You know there's no gimmick because even the way that you look at the helmet and the jerseys, it hasn't changed. We're plain Jane, and it's dynamic, and we do what we do. We have enough guys to line up, tell you what we're going to do, and there's probably 1 or 2 teams over the last 10 years, or 17 years since they've been there, that can line up personnel with us and bust us in our mouth. That the defense that's static and moving around, I know it causes issues on 3rd down, but on 1st, 2nd down, line up and just go play your gaps and get the thing done with.
Otherwise, I'm going to hit you in your mouth, and I'm going to hit you for 4 or 5 every play. And before you know it, I got another 1st down, and I'm going to drive on you. And by the time we get to the 3rd, 4th quarter, y'all going to be so damn tired, you ain't going to want no more.
Stephen and Smith, come with that same passion. Let's close out this segment so we can get to Tyler Van Dyke.
We know Wisconsin, no more Paul Chris, right? No more Paul Chris, no more Brett Bielema. Those are some names in the old time capsule there. But think about Phil Longo, as Smoke mentioned, not only did he have Drake May, he also had Sam Howell in North Carolina. Phil Longo had 3 quarterbacks at Ole Miss. He had Shea Patterson, Matt Corral, and Jordan Tiamu. And let's also mention he did have guys like DK Metcalf, Cody Core, Evan Ingram, DeMaurier Stringfellow, the list goes on. However, at Wisconsin, they're not recruiting those types of guys. They haven't started recruiting those types of guys. So that's where Phil Longo is a bit of a stress hold here because he wants to have those types of guys. He doesn't have them. So what does Wisconsin do? Like when to Marvin's point, yes, you definitely run the football. You definitely see, can I get Alabama undisciplined by running the football and then be able to just have Tyler Van Dyke throw when I need him to throw? Because even though he's kind of a gunslinger to some degree, that does get him into a lot of trouble. So the big thing for Wisconsin is going to be is how often do they get positive yards on 1st down? That's the biggest thing for Wisconsin. How often in each drive do they get positive yards on 1st down? If they're starting 1st down 3 to 4 yards a carry or 3 to 4 yards a pop, that's going to tell a big story.
Like I said, don't be fooled that they don't want to run the ball. They just don't run the ball like Wisconsin used to run the ball.
Man, And I come out there and screen a few times. And the next thing you know,
they're just trying to run with a light box, Marvin. They're trying to run with a 5-man box or 6.
Yeah. Spread them out and spread them out and attack their weak point.
Right.
Love it. Love it. All right, before we get to the final topic of the night, we got to give a shout out again to Kelly Weathersby, $4.99. I hate ugly wins with a passion. However, I'll take any W over a loss every day. Remember, 2nd and 26, Alabama, Texas, 21-19. Hey,
yeah,
if you say so, Kelly.
I'll say this: one was an ugly win. That Texas win was ugly, but that 2nd and 26 was beautiful. As bad as it was. To see Nick Saban go from God to it, oh my God, Tua! That was awesome. To see that.
How'd it go again?
It went God to it, oh my God, Tua!
All right, the final major topic of the night. We've already touched lightly on Tyler Van Dyke, Wisconsin's quarterback, formerly a Miami Hurricane. We've touched on him lightly, so let's go ahead and put a bow on it. Tyler Van Dyke has definitely got an NFL arm, but the problem is sometimes he looks like an NFL quarterback, and the other times he looks like he should be at home playing Madden. So, with that being said,
say that again.
I said Tyler Van playing Madden. So he's going to need one of those games where he absolutely rocks the house. Do we have a performance from him that's similar to what we saw from Steven Garcia 2010 against South Carolina? Or does he struggle? What kind of a threat do we actually see from Tyler Van Dyke? And it looks like both Marvin and Steven M are fighting for this position.
Please let me start. I'm going to make it short. I'm going to make it short and sweet. Tyler Van Dyke is the reason why I stopped betting on the Miami Hurricanes. He cost me so much money. I mean, trash. You losing fat. He didn't cover the spread. He taking L's. I stopped betting on Miami because of him. Trash.
Tell us how you really feel, Marvin.
Smoke, when I get to you, I have another question that you'll probably answer more calmly, but we enjoyed that. Right. Go ahead, Stephen M.
That spot has been sponsored by Caesar Sportsbook. Talk to Marvin.
He messed up so many of my tickets. Like, you trash.
Now I'll say this. Is Tyler Van Dyke a threat? No, unless Bama makes him one. No, I don't see him as a threat at all. Unless Bama has him looking like a Heisman contender.
True.
If Bama's out there busting coverages, looking lost out there, and has him looking like one, yes, he's a threat. But if Bama comes out there knowing what they're supposed to do and getting it done, no, he's not a threat.
Absolutely. It all comes down to Bama playing Bama game, Bama ball, being disciplined. Don't give up anything. Don't beat yourself. Wisconsin fans in the chat, before I go to Smoke, how do you feel about Tyler Van Dyke? Is this a guy that you're sold out for? Do you feel like someone else should be making the calls at the QB position? Let us know in the chat. Smoke, I know how you feel about Tyler Van Dyke. We spoke at length about him. But I want to ask you in this scenario, if Tyler Van Dyke has one of those coming-of-age moments, what kind of problems does he pose for our young secondary who, like you mentioned earlier last week, struggled? They just didn't have a quarterback with touch to throw the ball against the receivers they were guarding. Now, Van Dyke has an arm. If he's connecting, what are we looking at?
Well, Tyler Van Dyke, when everything's perfect, can play with any quarterback, has the skill set of any quarterback in college football. But that's far and few that we've seen. The only time that we've seen Tyler Van Dyke play at a high level is when Rhett Lashley was the offensive coordinator at Miami. Now, the age-old problem with coaches and people in personnel, they always believe that they can fix someone. When you evaluated Tyler Van Dyke when he's coming out of high school and when you saw him play well with Rhett Lashley, you say, well, I can get him to do that again if I do this, if he does that. But there's a lot of ifs. Those ifs haven't added up consistently to the point that he got benched last year at Miami and lost Marvin a ton of money. So his biggest issue is not that he can't make the throws and can't connect. He's highly inconsistent, and accuracy is a major problem, and he's turnover prone and makes poor decisions under stress, when pocket is clean, and sometimes he'll throw the ball to God if God opens his hands. That's how bad he misses on throws. But like I said, there's once in a blue moon Tyler, and there's every blue moon Tyler, which is bad. He hasn't shown me enough for me to even be afraid of him as a thrower of the football. I would make Tyler Van Dyke show up and be consistent and make 20 to 25 completions to beat me in a football game. Period. I'm going to go with the odds and say that's not going to happen. He's going to play like he's always played in highly contested and stressful situations poorly.
My guy said he's going to throw the ball to God, and God God may catch it. He'll catch it, maybe not.
Before we go to our players,
God only answers prayers. You don't understand. He don't catch passes when they're thrown wrong to him.
Right.
Before we give our predictions on players of the game, we got a few people to get to. Keller Weathersby, Marvin, I can pick you a better parlay.
Well, here's the thing. I want to go to one game in particular last. I had to pull this stat up. It was against Virginia. They ended up winning in overtime 29-26. This bum went 20 of 30 for 163 yards and 2 interceptions against Virginia, who was trash. If I could have jumped through the TV and choked his ass, I would have. Like, come on, bro. That's when I stopped betting on Miami.
That's your fault, man.
They were playing Virginia.
Tell him tell you to bet on him.
They were playing. Virginia is horrible. Like, how do you struggle to beat Virginia?
So can I throw his stats out at you real quick? Against our brother, our Bama Sci-Fi brother, Western Michigan. He was 21 for 36. 50, that's 58 percentage in completion. That's poor. Anything under 60, bad, for 192 yards. He did have 8 carries for 21 yards. Against South Dakota, he was 17 for 21. That's 63% completion. No interception. That's a good thing for Tyler. 1 touchdown for 214 yards. So when you look at it, he's hovering right about the 61 percentage completion, and that's not against tight coverage pressure.
I'm gonna do player props and take his. Yeah,
the only thing I would say is with a guy like this, what you don't want to do is you don't want to give him confidence. You take the air out of the pocket, you take the air out of the coverage, and make him make throws. And then you go ahead and when now it's Wommack, your time to get funky on third down, throw those exotic looks. Show him a pre-snap look, post-snap look. So when he turns around, if he does any zone read and he looks up, he sees something completely different from what you showed him. Go ahead, Marvin.
But Smoke, that comes with controlling the line of scrimmage and not allowing them to run the ball effectively on first and second down. Keep his ass in third and long where he can't function.
36 plus. I agree with you.
All right, real quick. Let's wrap this part up. We're going to do that with Don Parker. Thanks again, Don. $5. I get with Van Dyke, but any quarterback can look like Tom Brady if you don't have a pass rush.
Bama has a pass rush. I would disagree with what that comment right there.
All right. So let's start to wind things down, and how we do that here at the Bama Standard is giving our predictions and players of the game. Before we do that, I want to remind everyone we are a big network. After us tonight at 8 p.m. Central, not too far from now, we got the final whistle. Then tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. Central, we got Crimson Dynasty with Cece Payne, Dan James, and Hannah Stevens. The nightcap is George Teague with Teague's Take at 8:15 p.m. Central. Friday night, you get to see Smoke all over again with Daniel Petty and Hannah Stevens.
You
go. It's 7 p.m. Central for the Red Zone. And then Saturday, immediately following the Alabama-Wisconsin game, the Bama Standard post-game show will be on air. And to close everything out, Sunday night's Talking Bama with Josh Tucker, J.B. Baines, and Marshall Bean. Shout out to Josh Tucker for making Marvin's new intro. So let's do it, guys. Let's go ahead and give our predictions and players of the game. We'll start out with Marvin Constant, and then we'll go to Stephen M., and then Smoke. I will close it out after that.
I'm going to go 24-17. Player of the game, Bernard. I think you're going to see a lot more from this game. I think Bernard is truly going to be the difference in us winning this game.
Okay. Love it. Stephen M.
I got 35-7. Player of the game is going to be Q Robinson. I think Q is going to have a big sack day. He's leading the team right now with 2 sacks. You know, his pops passed away 2 days before the South Florida game. He came up there running around the field playing great. I think Q Rob has another marquee sack day.
42-7. Jalen Milroe, 2 touchdowns in the air, 2 on the ground. MVP, 300+ yards. I'll say 75 on the ground.
I love it.
Heisman watch.
Definitely will take it. My biggest thing is Bama just go in there, handle business. Do not let this still be a game in the fourth quarter. If it's still a game in the fourth quarter, that place can get crazy. Smoke, you talked about it yesterday. When jump around starts going, that
Cypress
place is
Hill,
rocking.
baby.
Yes, sir. And we can be in for it. So take them out early. So my prediction is going to be Alabama 38, Wisconsin 17. On the offensive side of the ball, I'm going to give it to Justice Haynes. Defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with L.T. Overton.
Like that one.
All right, let's go ahead and close things out. Before we do that, let's go around the room one last time. Tell the folks how they can find you on social media. Start out with Marvin Constant, then go up to Smoke, and then Stephen M. Take it away, guys.
You can find me on Instagram, Constant45. It's real simple. Go to Twitter or X. It's Constant451. Just add a 1. It's simple. Constant45, Constant451.
You can find me on X and on the gram. Coach GV Dixon. We live, man. Conti, you know we're gonna have to do something, man. I gotta get you a little new backdrop back there, man. We're gonna have to spice that up.
Gotcha, Coach.
Hey, well, y'all can catch me on the X machine, formerly known as Twitter. Coaching M. Smith right there on X, formerly known as Twitter. You can catch me also touchdownalabama.com, where all the articles are there. You can catch me tomorrow on campus. I got all the assistant coaches, including Coach Cap on the offensive line. I'm going to spend a lot of time talking to Coach Cap tomorrow, so that should be a good conversation right there. And, yeah, you can always catch me here, floating right here, Bama Standard.
You can catch me on X, coaching M. Smith. You can catch me on the campus tomorrow, selling ice cream and popcorn.
Oh my gosh, man! He will not let this down, man.
My bad.
Absolutely. Y'all definitely, hey, have a great time this weekend. Those traveling to the game, show Wisconsin fans some love and respect. Get you some fried cheese curds. Then come back next week, folks. We've been waiting on it. We've been talking about it. It's Georgia week. We're going to have some people on this show. They're going to get it right for us. And Marvin, talking to your boy Kenny Smith, he might be here with us to get things riled up. So this will be very exciting.
Bro.
Yeah, he can come talk all about how people not being in the right damn gaps doing their job because they think they seen something. Yeah, he can come tell us all about that part.
Man,
you get your ass in the B gap.
Man, no, man, Casey, man, I seen God, man. I gotta go see him right quick.
Hey, man, listen. I'm glad I didn't play linebacker behind that 3 technique. I'd be pissed. You getting reads in a guard in your lap every play. I remember them days.
That's why I got so good at it, because I knew with Kenny in front of me, baby, hey, be prepared for anything.
Be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the Bama Standard. Until next week, roll tide.
Roll tide. Roll.